What's up, y'all? The NBA season is back, and while teams continue to find their footing, our partners at Fanatics Sportsbook are already running championship plays. Bet with Fanatics and earn up to 10% FANCASH on your bets, win or lose. So even if your bet misses, you're still scoring FANCASH, which you can use on NBA gear, tickets, and exclusive Fanatics events. And with fair play, if your players go down injured in the first half, your bet stays live. Make the switch and get more ways to win with Fanatics Sportsbook. Winning hits different here.
Well, holy shit. Welcome to the Knicks Film School Postgame Show presented by Fanatics Sportsbook. It is your boy, Jonathan Macri, here with you to talk about a basketball game that was barely a basketball game. It was a basketball game for a couple minutes, I think, maybe in the first quarter. I don't know at what point during the Knicks running out to a 23-0 lead? Yeah, it was a 23-0 lead. That this thing, we kind of realized, like, oh, we're not going to have to really, like, I always start out with my little, whether it's a piece of paper or my notepad, or tonight it was my phone that I was taking notes on. I always start out that way, and then it's a matter of, like, when do I stop taking the notes? And thankfully, in this era of Knick basketball, almost all the time when I stop taking notes, it's because it is this kind of a game as opposed to this kind of a game in the other direction. Tonight, it was this kind of a game. I took 3 notes. I'll read them to you right now. 23-0 until 5:27. So the Jazz took 6 minutes and 33 seconds to score a point in this basketball game. And then there was some question about whether or not this was the best ever start. The records ever only go back to 1996-97. In all that time, this is the biggest lead the Knicks had gotten out to without having the opponent score a point. So at least since 96-97, and possibly before that. We don't know. If anybody scoured the internet and found that somebody got the answer to whether or not this was indeed the fastest start or the best start, whatever you want to call it, in Knicks history, feel free to put that in the chat. My second note was at the end of the first quarter, 41-13, largest Knick lead ever at the end of the first quarter. And then my last note was that they had a 41-point lead because I wanted to note what the largest lead of the game was. And then JC missed from 3 away from a 50-point third quarter, because they scored 47 points in the third. And it was funny because I hope he doesn't mind me saying this, but my buddy John Henson, who's a great Knick fan, out on the left coast, we were texting during halftime, and he was like, him and his son were taking guesses on how many points the Knicks would end up with. And I'm out of respect for my friendship with John, I'm not going to reveal what their guesses were, but they were a little on the lower side. And I went with 132, and I thought maybe I was a little high. Turns out I was not high enough. The Knicks scored 146 points in this basketball game. And while we are doing the whole statistics thing, because I was sitting there, before I get to this stat, I was sitting there with like 5 minutes left to go, and I'm like, what's going to be longer, my opening monologue or the amount of time it took for the Jazz to score a basket in this game? And I was like, well, we could do the real time. Real time, it was like 15, 16 minutes. I don't know how I'm going to make this monologue last that long. Game time, it was 6 minutes and, what did I say? 6 minutes and 33 seconds. I think I could last at least long. So yeah, 146 points tonight. I figured let's look that up. That'll give me something to bullshit about. So only 8 times in Knicks history have they put up at least this many points in a regulation game. The record, as has probably been stated before, which came against the Syracuse Nets, a team that is not around anymore, 152 points back in 1959. And all the dates, all the times that they've scored this many points happened at least 40 years ago. The most recent time they have scored this many points in a basketball game was November 11th, 1980. So you have to go back more than 45 years to find another time that the Knicks scored at least this many points in a regulation game that came against the Detroit Pistons. So quite literally tonight, one of the greatest scoring performances in Knicks history. I'm actually looking. They won all these games except for one. They lost 169 to 147. Oh my God, is that the Wilt Chamberlain game? I think that's the Wilt Chamberlain game. Hold on, I got to look this up now. March 2nd, 1962. That's got to be the Wilt game. Has to be. It is indeed the Wilt game. So every other time besides Wilt Chamberlain's 100-point game where the Knicks have scored this many points in regulation, they've won, and they won tonight. And it was a nice win. And look, I think my theme of this season, especially coming off of last year, where there was so much consternation about how they performed against the best teams, and what really mattered about last season as it was going on. My theme of last season or this season is to enjoy all the wins, whether they come against a very good team. And then we'll talk about that because the Knicks are about to face some, not about very good teams, but they were about to face some good teams. The matchup with the Orlando Magic, who eked out a win over the Miami Heat tonight. Terrible end of game play for Miami. I don't know what they drew up, but I'm pretty sure they did not draw up that. So good win for Orlando. That'll be a matchup between two of the, top teams in the Eastern Conference. Magic now 14-9, Knicks now 15-7. So, those two teams will be jockeying, I'm sure, for position all year long. And then after that, face the third place team in the Eastern Conference, the Toronto Raptors, who we just saw. They, I would assume, will have RJ Barrett back for that game. They lost. So disappointing loss for the Toronto Raptors. RJ's still not back, so I guess maybe no guarantee that he's back for next week. In any case, they didn't play a good team tonight. They played the Jazz. And yes, the Jazz are fun and frisky. 8 wins. Some of those wins came against real teams. And I think that the Jazz are probably the best truly bad team in the league, in that they are defensively challenged, and every night they go out, they will be defensively challenged, and we saw some of that tonight. And offensively, some nights they're going to look good when the shots go down. Most nights they're not going to look good because most nights are going to be like this when the shots did not go down. I'm not going to lie, coming off of Benji Ridholtz's exceptional, he's been on one, Patreon grade book detailing why the Knicks are giving up so many threes, and specifically corner threes. I was thinking of that as I was watching the opening quarter of this game, because sure enough, the Jazz did get a fair bit of corner threes, and they were at least open-ish, and they just happened to miss all of them. And to their credit, the Knicks took full advantage. But look, you go out, you play the teams that are on your schedule, and you hopefully take care of business. And the Knicks did take care of business. And I think if there is going to be, we'll get to the players in a second, including one player who is having a stretch of shooting, the likes of which, as I'm going to point out in a moment, we've never seen as Knicks fans. And it's kind of, there have not been many stretches of shooting this hot as in the league ever, partially because the three-pointer is still kind of a newish thing. But before we get to that, I think the lead story coming out of this game is going to be the Knicks' home dominance, and the fact that the Knicks now are 12-1 at home, as they said multiple times on the broadcast. That is the best home start since the 1992-93 season. The 92-93 season, famously, the Knicks tied the record for the most wins in their franchise history. I believe that was with 60. I'll double check that right now. Yes, 60 wins. And that team excuse me, at home was, what do they win? 37 games at home. I think they won 37 games at home. So, is this team going to be that team? I will not. I'm not going to put that out there quite yet. The fact that they are playing as well as they are playing at home, I think that matters. And I think the fact that they came out and they put that sort of performance on the Utah Jazz, and that they did so in OG Anunoby's first game back, I do think that was #meaningful, because for as encouraging and as far as certainly helpful as it has been for this team to be, road warriors over the last several years, really the entire Tibbs era, I would say the Knicks were road warriors. The fact that they have not had that Madison Square Garden advantage, that Madison Square Garden, like that extra something. I think, the Knicks historically, you come into play in New York City, it's supposed to be hard. And the fact is, it hasn't been hard for 30 plus years. It hasn't been hard since the mid 90s. And I'm just confirming it. 37-4, that 60-win season. They don't need to be 37-4 at home, but to be something like, 33-9, even 32-10, something along those lines. I think that makes a difference. It was pretty shitty that last year, playoffs start and you lose game 2 at Madison Square Garden. You lose game 5 against Detroit at Madison Square Garden. You lose game 3, which was the most hyped that the Garden had probably been since the mid 90s or the late 90s at the very least. Game 3 against Boston, you lost at Madison Square Garden. And obviously in a game that I wish I was permanently erased from my memory, being at Madison Square Garden in game 1 against the Pacers, that did not matter then. So to get the Garden back to being a place where teams come in, and maybe don't look like the Jazz looked out of the gate tonight, but look, a little intimidated. I think that's a big deal. And hopefully that can keep up. And the real test will come on Sunday against this Orlando team, who has had their way with the Knicks for both times that those teams have played each other this year. And this is an important game. I'm going to say it right now. The Knicks need to show up and put forth a performance. Is it a must-win game? There's no such thing as a must-win game in December in the NBA, but it is absolutely a must show up and must prove to ourselves and prove to the Magic that we are not a team that can be pushed around. We are not a finesse team, and we don't have any finesse players. And now that we got our full group back, we're going to show you just how not finesse we are, and that's going to be a challenge. And I do think to some extent the Knicks have been very reliant on their 3-point shooting this year. Obviously, tonight, among the very many impressive numbers, them being shooting 50% from 3, 21 of 42. It's certainly nice. They are among the league leaders in 3-point percentage. So that's the reason why when, there is some modicum of criticism about, the Knicks are too reliant on threes. If the threes aren't falling and they're playing one of these physical teams, then it's just a bad combination. The Knicks so far this season, and this is, I think, before tonight's statistics will be incorporated, so they're probably going to move up to 4th or 5th. They're 7th in the league in 3-point percentage. And if you're 7th in the league in 3-point percentage and you're 6th in the league in 3-point attempts, and you're even higher, I could look it up right now, in probably percentage of shots that come from 3, that's all, generally speaking, I think a winning formula. And you're going to roll those dice again, especially when you have the 3-point shooters on your team that you do. Which leads me to the one player that I did want to talk about. And look at me, I'm already past 15 minutes. I did it. We did it, Joe. The one player that I want to talk about, I mean, we could talk about every player in this game. Jalen Brunson shot the lights out of the ball. Some of the subs came in late and looked good. Mohamed Diawara had a little minute there at the end, which I'm sure is going to have people excited. It was nice for Jordan Clarkson to make some buckets against his old team. Bridges had a perfect start when the game, again, not that this game was ever really in doubt, but his start certainly mattered. It was nice to see Karl Towns get some threes to fall, 4 of 6 from deep. How you doing? Maybe he's finally going to break out of his slump. And yes, seeing OG Anunoby on the basketball court making plays, mostly defensively, but just being out there, it did not take long for all of us to remember how important even in a game like this, it did not take long for us to remember how important he is and how much he just makes them so much tougher to deal with. But we're not going to talk about any of those guys right now. If you want to talk about them, in the comments, we can do that. We're going to talk about Deuce McBride. Deuce McBride, me and Benji Ritholtz had an extensive conversation on last night's X's and O's pod, which I was lucky enough to join Benji for, about the starting five. And we had the conversation despite the fact that it was posing a question that we already knew the answer to, which is which way the Knicks were going to turn to once OG Anunoby got back. And we said at the top of the conversation, look, they're going to keep starting Josh Hart. And Benji laid out his case for why he thought they should start Deuce. And I agreed with him, as I have said on this show many times this year. There was just something in my gut that would like to see what the starting five looks like with Deuce McBride. Now, you could look at the start they had to this game, and you could say, well, you guys are a bunch of ass clowns. They got out to a 23-0 lead. And yes, they did get out to a 23-0 lead. I will kindly point out that the score was, hold on. The score was 10-0 when McBride came in the game. And by the time that they made another sub, I'm trying to think who the next sub was. I'm looking right now. Yeah, by the time the next sub entered, when Jordan Clarkson entered for Bridges, it was 23-2. So actually, Deuce was in the game for the majority of the time that they got out to that lead. Of course, not in place of Josh Hart, but alongside Josh Hart. He came in places of OG Anunoby. Look, I don't think this is a wrong answer. And this is the other thing I've said multiple times. I don't think there's a wrong answer to this question. I think there are positives to both players. I think you could point to some negatives for both players. And I will just be curious to see, and this was a thing with Tibbs. Tibbs, once famously, how many times do we talk about this? Once Tibbs decided something was the way to go, he would not change that. He certainly wouldn't change it depending on the opponent. He would not change it unless he felt like he had definitive proof that it was not working. And the questions he would always ask, is the effort there? Is the execution there? And he asked those questions about the starting lineup last year for 3.5 months. And he never got satisfactory answers because in his mind, I'm sure he didn't feel the execution was ever there. Well, guess what? If the execution isn't there for, when the snow is falling on the ground until the, flowers are blooming, then there's something probably pretty off in the water. Mike Brown's not like that. Mike Brown is clearly a guy who is going to be comfortable making changes, without this rock solid, black and white evidence that yes, this change needs to be made. It'll still be interesting if he ever goes away from this lineup. And I will just add for as long as, if Josh Hart keeps playing like this, I don't think he's going to go away from it. What'll be interesting is if Josh Hart hits a slump, and I don't think Josh Hart is going to hit. I don't even know what he was from 3 tonight. I felt like he didn't take any threes tonight. He was 0 of 3 from 3. But if Josh Hart hits a real slump, like an extended slump, and he starts kind of not being the full Josh Hart that we have seen for weeks, when he's looked honestly like kind of an all-star, will there be a change then? We'll worry about that when the time comes. I'm just going to say for right now, over his last 6 games, Deuce McBride is 27 of 42 from behind the arc. That is a shooting percentage over the course of 6 games of 64%. I went and plugged those exact numbers into Basketball Reference. Shout out to StatHead. Of all players in the history of the league, but it's not the history of the league because the three-point shot only entered the league in the late 70s, who in a span of 6 games made at least 27 three-point field goals and shot a field goal or a three-point field goal percentage over those 6 games of at least 64%. It has happened 8 times before this. I'm just going to read the names of the players who have done it in reverse order. Earlier this year, talk about a guy who is going to make his first All-Star team in all likelihood. Jamal Murray, over the span of 6 games, had 31 threes and shot 64.6% on those threes. 2 years ago, in March of 2023, so 2.5 years ago, Luke Kennard, who is often cited as like the best three-point shooter or one of the best three-point shooters in the league, certainly has the percentages to back it up, had 27 threes in 6 games, shot 64.3%. In 2022, December of 2022, Buddy Hield did it, 29 threes, 66%. And then before that, you got to go back all the way to 2016. Kyle Lowry, 28 over 6 games, 65%. Before that, once a Knick, always a Knick. Trevor Ariza in 2014 did it, 28 threes over 6 games, 68%. That's the highest percentage anybody, 68.3%. Good thing we traded him, by the way. Smart move. And then you got to go back 2005, Damon Jones, and then Ray Allen had a stretch that actually lasted. His name is showing up twice because there was a 6-game stretch from January 8th to January 18th, and then another one from January 11th to January 19th. So he had a 7-game stretch where it looks like he hit like close to 43s or something crazy like that, shooting like 66, 67%. So again, those names: Jamal Murray, Luke Kennard, Buddy Hield, Kyle Lowry, Trevor Ariza, Damon Jones. He's maybe the only one, but like Damon Jones could put the ball in the freaking hoop once upon a time. And Ray Allen. Those are some of the best shooters. Wait, what am I talking about? Damon Jones, career 3-point percentage, 39%. How you doing? That's a list of some of the best 3-point shooters in the modern history of the sport. That's the company that Deuce McBride is in right now. That's the confidence with which he's shooting, with which he's shooting the ball with. And it is a credit to his teammates that they're getting the ball to him, but also to Deuce, because unlike a lot of players in the league, Deuce doesn't need a whole lot of time. And because of his high release point, he does not need a whole lot of space to get these shots off. So what Deuce McBride is doing with the basketball and with the way he is shooting, I'm not going to say that it changes the calculation for this Knicks team or anything, but he's missed 3 games this year. They haven't won any of them. And they don't have anyone else like him on the roster. Yeah, OG Anunoby puts them up, and Mikal Bridges has been pretty good about putting up threes this year, and obviously Brunson's gonna get his looks up, and Clarkson's never met a shot he didn't like. But none of their other guys that they have on the team right now are guys who hunt threes, are guys who are out there looking specifically more than anything else to shoot threes. That's what Deuce does. And when you're putting him on the floor with the other best players on the Knicks, he's not out there trying to dribble and make stuff happen and be a quasi point guard. He's out there to shoot. So as someone who has, from a perspective of look, the Knicks are a little small, they could use probably another wing. If there's someone that has to go out in a trade, it's not like they you can't upset the apple cart with these other big salaries. Is he the piece that needs to go out? Look, Luka Doncic got traded last year. No player is untradeable, so I want to be very clear about that. But I don't know what the Knicks would do. It's funny. I'm reminded that I said this a few weeks ago about someone else. when I was like, I don't know what the Knicks would be, where they would be without Landry Shamet. Now that Landry Shamet's gone, especially because he was the only other guy who gave them an approximation of what Deuce is now giving them. Now that they're down Landry, Deuce McBride's importance is increased that much more, because they need someone for as much as I read you those shooting volume numbers a few minutes ago, they need at least like one guy and probably multiple guys who are, again, going to put up 8, 9, 10, 11 threes per 36 minutes. And that's kind of the pace. I think Deuce is over 8. I'll double check it right now. But he's become one of the best 3-point shooters in basketball, so I wanted to give him his flowers for, again, a shooting stretch that I cannot remember seeing as a Knick fan. Yeah, coming into this game, he was averaging per 36 minutes 8. Was it 8? Hold on, my computer's a little slow. It was a lot. 7.9. So he went. I guarantee you, he went up above 8. So 8 threes per 36. That's first on the team. Even higher than Landry Shamet, who was at 7.6 when he got hurt. What's this? Okay, perfect transition as we get to our bets for the night. It's from my guy Kyle. What is this? On November 9th. No, this no. This is the first 13 points. No, I'm looking for when in history they had ever gotten out to better than a 23-0 lead. I don't think you can find it because the records weren't there. So this is going to have to be someone finding an old newspaper clipping. I appreciate you trying though, Kyle. Okay. Let's get to our bets for the night. Our best bets, and then actually we're going to do a little betting and sweating. And a quick check on the betting and sweating scoreboard. So our best bets for tonight, which are a little blurry, but I could see them barely. So I'm going to start with my bet because I'm on a heater right now. Richard Robinson over 6.5 boards. That hit barely, but it hit. That's all that matters. Deuce McBride over 2.5 threes. That was Jeff's bet. My God. That hit in the first 6 minutes of the game. And then Josh Hart, at least 2 stocks. So steals plus blocks. Sadly, Josh prevented us from nailing the plus 595 parlay. But that's only because Josh Hart played 28 minutes in the game, because this was a laugher. So I'm not holding that against Mensa at all. We could do a quick check on our video picks for the night, which were submitted by the great Andrew Claudio. He went 4 for 5. So I'm realizing as I'm mentioning this, we are going to start to have a reward / penalty during our weekly video picks. So the person who finishes first gets to tell the person that finished last something silly to read or say on social media, and then that person is going to have to read or say that thing. So Andrew right now is off to a great start because he hit both teams scoring 111 points. He hit Ace Bailey over 13 points. He hit Knicks first half money line, Knicks first half minus 18.5. He hit Jordan Clarkson 2 or more made threes. The only thing that he didn't get was a Josh Hart parlay of over 1.5 threes made and over 7.5 rebounds. And again, that's only because this was a very unserious basketball game. So to update our full betting and sweating scoreboard, take this down, put this up. Oh, sorry. It's my bad, Kev. I'm doing the producing for Kev. Andrew moves back into first place with 54 total points. Sean's in second with 47. I am in third with 43. Jeff is in fourth with 35. And Mensa, we congratulate on the birth of his new child. That's all I'm going to say about it. We don't need to say what Mensa's point total is. We're nice people here at Knicks Film School. All right. I think that's it. Let's I don't know how many super chats or chats we have, but I'm happy to take all of them. And let's have some fun. Oh, it's Friday night. I almost forgot. It's Fanatics chat of the night. So Kev, I know we might be a little light on super chats tonight. You might need to dip into some of the regular chats and put up some regular chats up here because we got it. We cannot leave tonight without awarding $25 in fan cash to one lucky fan who submits the chat of the night. So let's get it going as I take a sip of my wine. Chris Dayton does not even have anything. Oh, there we go. Chris Dayton, our guy who has been supporting Knicks Film School in pictures with the likes of Josh Hart, Landry Shaman, and Mike Brown. Is it a problem that after date night tonight, very jealous that you had date night tonight, my wife looks at me and says, I'm in my happy place because I'm watching Deuce play great for the Knicks with a good bourbon and a full belly. No. Why is it a problem? Because Deuce McBride put your wife in her happy place and not. No, come on. If Deuce can help you both achieve satisfaction in your marriage, I think Deuce would be proud of that achievement. If I were Deuce, I would be proud of that achievement. And look, the fact that you have it's great bourbon, a full belly. We went to the diner tonight. That was I had my dinner tonight consisted of French fries with melted mozzarella cheese. Truly the dinner of champions. So the fact that you had a proper date night, very jealous. My wife and I are going to have a couple of proper date nights next weekend, where we're going away for our 11-year wedding anniversary. We're very, very excited about that. Anyway, thanks, Chris. You're our early front runner for chat of the night. Let's keep it going here. IMAK legend. What's going on, IMAK? Anyone else here? Breen's stat on Deuce's 3-point percentage this year. Elite. Yeah, I mean, I heard him. He was talking about it, obviously, throughout the night. Deuce is now, and sorry, this hasn't updated yet because it's NBA stats page can be a little slow sometimes. But he's, I'm pretty sure, going to be over. Yeah, he'll definitely be over 45% now. And let me see if I can, I don't know, maybe the NBA stats page is funky sometimes because sometimes you'll go to one page on the site, and you'll do per 36 and it'll have updated stats for per 36, but then you'll go to the regular stats in it and it won't be updated. So let's see here. McBride. Because he's not even. So this is how many people shoot threes in the NBA today. McBride is not even among the top 50 in terms of 3-point shots per game in the league. At least not coming into tonight. He was. Maybe after tonight he will have nudged up a little bit because he entered tonight 6.1 threes per game. He actually will probably barely be in the top 50 after tonight. So coming into tonight, he was shooting 44% from deep. Kev did the math. So Kev, he's probably at 46% now, probably a shade under 46%. So among the players who are shooting more threes per game than Deuce McBride this year, again, more threes per game this year, here are the people who are shooting a higher percentage. Tyler Hero, but I'm not going to count him because he's only played in 5 games. So Norm Powell, again, this is not reflective of tonight. I don't know how Norm shot it tonight. He was at 45.5%, so he's right there. AJ Green, who certainly killed us this year on the Milwaukee Bucks, he's, I think, the leader. He's at 49.7%. Jamal Murray's at 45.2%. I think Deuce is, if Kev's math is correct, he has moved ahead of Jamal Murray. And that's it. So again, if you take out Tyler Hero because he's only played 5 games, Kev's saying 46.2%. So if you take out Tyler Hero, it is just AJ Green. That is it. If you go by players who are taking at least 6 3-pointers a game, it is just AJ Green. That's the only guy in the league who is shooting a higher percentage from deep than Deuce McBride. To say that about a guy who had some of the, when I tell you, I've mentioned this before, If you're new to the show, I'll say it again. I would, because I liked Deuce and I wanted to believe in Deuce, but I would do searches after his rookie year and especially after his second year when he actually played real minutes about other players in NBA history who had taken that many shots and had been that inefficient, from the field. And it was like there was nobody that had actually rebounded to become a real player in the league that was an offensive threat. For him to now be legitimately one of the best three-point shooters in basketball, it's the ultimate testament to his work ethic and self-confidence. And yes, it's a testament to the Knicks that they took this kid 30, where did they draft him? 34th, I think. 34th in the draft. And this is now what he is. So it's a crazy success story. For as much as we have certainly got on them for some of the draft misses, this one, it's a pretty big win. All right. Thanks, IMAK Legend. Sam Garcia, what's going on, Sam? I'll be dead before the next time Danny Ainge fields a competitive team. The state of the Jazz is just so embarrassing. I feel for those fans. So again, here's the thing. They're not a terrible team. If you look at them on the year, and let me rephrase that. They are a very bad team. They're a very bad team. But in comparison, this is really more a commentary about the rest of the league than it is about the Jazz. The Jazz, I think, is this coming into tonight or is this with tonight? This is coming into tonight. Had a negative 5.8 net rating. Now, obviously, that's bad. It's 25th in the league. It's bad. There are 3 teams that have a double-digit negative number for their net rating. And then the Pacers are at minus 9.3 and the Nets at minus 8.8. And the Jazz have, like, if you add the number of wins between the Wizards and the Kings together, it's the amount of wins for the Utah Jazz. So, yes, the Jazz are bad. Here's the difference, though. And this is why I would rather be a Jazz fan than a Nets fan, than a Wizards fan. I mean, God knows, than a Kings fan, than a Hornets fan. I mean, certainly a Clippers fan. I could go on. There's a Bulls fan. The Jazz have a legitimate star in Lauri Markkanen, who is he's playing like an all-NBA level player this year. He's going to be an all-star again. They have a really, really, really interesting young player who, let me see, what did George do tonight? Keontae finished with 18, 5 of 12. So he didn't have that great of a night tonight. Got to the free throw line 7 times. Talk about a guy who lives at the free throw line. Keontae George. So they have those guys. And then the Bailey kid, we'll see what Bailey is. It's early. But he might be something. For them, it just comes down to getting lucky in the draft one of these years. And in addition to that, probably, and this is the thing that Ainge was betting on, he was betting on all those picks from the Timberwolves and all of those picks from the Cavs in the Donovan Mitchell and the Rudy Gobert trades being able to maybe turn into picks that they would use, but at the very least be something that if they still did build this thing up over a few years and got some young players in the door, they could then use those to trade for maybe a final piece or something. They're not there yet, obviously, where they could use those picks to trade for something. They need to hit on that draft pick, and they do have this interesting organizational question of, like, is Markkanen too far ahead of our timeline because he's whatever he is, 27 or 28 years old. And clearly we are still a few years away. And look, they're going to adjust that. They're going to answer that question over the course of the next 2 months. I think, I will bring this back around to the Knicks. Here's why that's such a fascinating question and such a relevant question for Knicks fans. If the Jazz decide, and if Danny Ainge decides, and he agrees with you that you'll be dead before the next time the Jazz field a competitive team, well, then they're probably going to trade trade Lauri Markkanen. And again, I don't know that there is a team out there for which there is a better fit and who has a better ready constructed trade package for Lauri Markkanen than the Detroit Pistons, who I'm looking up and won another tight game, because that seems like all they do is they win tight games against the Portland Trailblazers tonight. And boy, oh boy, would Lauri look really good in a Pistons uniform. Like, let me just check real quick. Like tonight, the Pistons put up 122 points and they took 24 threes. You know, like Lauri is so clearly something that they need. And I am just hoping, as someone who very much wants to see the Knicks make their first finals since I was fucking 16, that either the Pistons decide to stand pat or the Jazz decide, you know, we're going to stick this out with Lauri and we want him to be on the next great Jazz team. Because if they decide to put him up, you know, to the highest bidder, I just, and look, maybe someone else makes a play for him, but like if it's Detroit, that's going to be, it's going to be tough. Thanks, Sam. PO4463WA. I don't know what I don't know why YouTube does this now. They don't give us the names anymore. Is Utah still the funnest bad team in the league? Yes, they absolutely are. Because think about it. How much fun was tonight? How much fun did you have watching that game? I had a fucking blast watching that game. Didn't you? That's why they may not be, it may not have been fun for them, for their fans, but what a fun game this was because they gave up 1 million points. So yes, my answer is yes. Final answer. Hush Zoo, what's going on, Hush? Another contender for our chat of the night. Here we go. Again, giving out that $25 in fan cash, courtesy of Fanatics. Great and fun game. I think I'm officially disappointed in the Yabu signing. I was waiting. I knew someone was going to bring it. And you know what? It deserves to be brought up tonight. Hold on one sec. Let me finish reading the comment. Weight loss or not, he doesn't fit here. Maybe we could look at Batum in LA. I know CP floated that a while ago. Look, Nick Batum has had a great NBA career. A great NBA career. Remember that contract Charlotte gave him? Was it 5 years? Was it 5 years and $125 million? I think that's what it was, right? Unless it is low key one of the most insane contracts, and maybe the most insane contract that has ever been handed out in the history of the NBA. And it was a sort of thing like, yeah, I'm looking at it right now. 20, 22, 24, 25. Yeah, it was for, well, maybe not 125. Maybe it was for 5 for, or maybe it was 4 for 100. Maybe it was 4 for 100. Maybe that was it. I think it was 4 for 100. In any case, so he is 30. His birthday is next week. His birthday is the day after my 11-year wedding anniversary. He's going to be 37 years old. He is currently playing for the Clippers. That's good. He could still shoot it. 39% from 3. 3.5 threes a game in 19 minutes. That's good volume. That's fine. If I'm the Knicks, I am not looking for someone who could get me through this regular season. I'm not looking for someone who could get me through the first round or the second round. I'm looking for, Kev is saying it was 5 for 120. I was right that it was 5 years. I'm not crazy. Okay, good. Thank you. Because I'm looking on Basketball Reference, and I don't know why I looked at Basketball Reference because they don't have like the whole contract. But thank you, Kev. I need someone who's going to make it through 4 playoff rounds. And I know Batum is the consummate veteran, and he's, played for Team France, recently. Like, I just don't know that I want to bank on a guy that's that age, to say nothing of the fact that the Clippers are not going to have any interest in Gershon Yabusele without something attached to him. Now, what are you going to need to attach to him? Because again, it doesn't sound like a lot of money, but like, you think the Clippers want his $5 million player option on their books for next year? They don't. I assure you they don't. The way he's playing, nobody wants him on their books right now. So I think if you're the Knicks, and here's the other part about it. I'm not saying the Knicks can't use another wing. I think they could. They went out and got Yabusele for a reason, because he fit, and Ian Begley reported on this at the time. He fit what they envisioned the larger picture that they envisioned for having a lot of size on the court while also having a lot of shooting on the court. Now it's been 2 months, right? Because what is it? It's December 5th. First preseason game was actually, it's been more than 2 months. It hasn't been good, and it hasn't looked like it's gotten a whole lot better. And for that dude in this game, where they were down by 41 fucking points, to not get in the game in the first 3 quarters, again, we said it the other night. Me and Benji said it in the Charlotte postgame. Mike Brown sent him a message with a second half benching. And if that message wasn't coming through loud and clear, he sent it again tonight with, you're not even getting on the floor against this team that we just dusted in the first 5 minutes of the basketball game. So the message has been sent. Now it's about, what is Yabu going to do in response? I think you have to play this one right up until the deadline. Because again, if you move him, whether it's for Nick Batum or someone else, like, unless you're attaching like a future first round swap or something like, which they should not do, to be clear, you're not going to get a player back that is better than the guy that you thought you were signing when you signed Yabusele. And it really is a question of like, all right, how much patience do you have? And if I'm the Knicks, I'm going to try to have as much patience as humanly possible. So, we'll see what happens. Personally, I want to give him a chance to right the ship, because again, I'm not trying to rely on 37-year-old Nick Batum to help get me through 4 playoff rounds, because that's the goal, right? The goal is to win a championship. But that's me. Thanks, Hushu. Appreciate it, man. Drew P. Yabu for Haywood Highsmith. Well, Haywood Highsmith's a little bit younger, so I like that. But again, let me look at Haywood's numbers this year. Oh, that's right. Duh. Haywood Highsmith has not played this year because Haywood Highsmith is hurt. So how about we look at, when is Haywood Highsmith coming back? So he was going to be reevaluated in 8 weeks. That was back on October 19th. So he's probably going to be coming back soon. So now we want to trade for a guy that has not yet played basketball this year because he has been hurt. The money is right. He makes $5.6 million, although that is actually a problem because Gershon Yabusele I don't think he makes 5.6. I'll double check it right now. Pretty sure he makes like 5.1. Excuse me, 5.5. So this is where the NBA salary cap and the aprons are a bitch. Yabu makes 5.5. Haywood Highsmith makes 5.616. That difference of $116 million means the Knicks cannot trade straight up Gershon Yabusele for Haywood Highsmith, because being a first apron team, to say nothing of the fact that they are actually that close to the second apron, which they can't go over. And I don't even know, that might actually close the gap enough that would be the problem too. But before we even get there, they can't take back more money in a trade than they could send out. So that means all of a sudden, let's say they did want Haywood Highsmith. And again, the idea of Haywood Highsmith is great. He's a big wing. We know he could defend. We know he could hit threes. Career 3-point percentage, 37.4%. And that, he has a solid track record. He's made threes in the playoffs. He's played in the playoffs for Miami. Like, all of that's good. You need to send out more salary. So now all of a sudden, not only is Brooklyn taking on Yabusele, but either them, and I frankly forget if they used up all their cap space. I'm pretty sure they still have cap space, so they could probably just inherit another player into their cap space. So now you're giving them, what are you going to give them? You give them Pacome Dadier? Guess what? I don't know if the Nets want Pacome Dadier. And if the Nets were going to look at you and say, yeah, okay, we're giving you Haywood Highsmith, who has proven to be a playoff player before, for a guy with a fucking $5 million player option next year. What are you giving us for that? And now they're also trying to unload Pacome Dadier, who, what evidence do we have that he is an NBA player? Okay, well then Tyler Kolek, well, I don't know. The Knicks might need Tyler Kolek if they can't get another backup point guard. Ian Begley answered my mailbag question for his SNY mailbag a few weeks ago or a week ago. I asked him, trade deadline, what are the Knicks looking to get? A ball handler, a wing, or a big? And he was like, based on what I can surmise right now, I would bet on them trying to get a ball handler. So now you're trading so it's like, this is the issue with where the Knicks, I don't want to say where the corner they have boxed themselves into, because it's not like they did so without some benefit or they did so just willy-nilly. Like, this is where they are. It is what it is. But making, any trade is going to be difficult. And I will come back to the fundamental issue of right now, Yabusele is a negative value contract because no one is going to want that $5.5 million on their books next year, the way he's playing right now. So the best thing the Knicks could do would be to give him as much time as possible to improve his play. And if he does that, maybe they don't need to trade him. That's the hope. We'll see what happens. All right, you want to do the stat of the night, Kev? Let's do it. So, brought to you by my guy, Jonah Kaufman, KFS intern extraordinaire. Jonah's neato stat of the night. I like that, Kev. 30, as in 30 assists. 7th time this season the Knicks hit 30 assists. This is the first time getting exactly 30. It came despite Brunson only getting 4 assists, but Diawara had 3. So despite a top 7 assist number on the season tonight, so a bottom 5 assist to field goal ratio due to the Knicks making 51 field goals. My God. 51 fucking field goals tonight? That's insane. Oh, this team's a good offensive basketball team, man. They can be nasty offensively. They really can. It's a cool thing to watch. Don't take this for granted. Like, even putting aside all the shitty Knicks teams watched over the years, just like if you're a basketball fan, like, this team is capable. I mean, let me see. See if they popped up in the offensive rating rankings. Yes, they did. I think the Rockets are still playing right now. So where are the Rockets? No, the Rockets, they scored 117 tonight in Phoenix. So I think this is inclusive of the Rockets game tonight. In any case, the Knicks have the second best offense in basketball. 122.2 points per 100 possessions. And they are now within a stone's throw away of the Denver Nuggets for the third best net rating in basketball. Positive 8.3 points per 100 possessions. So things are going pretty good. Again, don't take it for granted. All right. That is your stat of the night. Shout out to Jonah. Bill Peterfriend. What's going on, Bill? Thanks for the generous super chat. Maybe an odd take, but I hope the 11 from Yabu maybe helps his confidence and he can turn it around. Can we always play the Jazz? Celtics beat the Magic, Lakers, Knicks, Celtics. Celtics beat the Magic, Lakers, Knicks, Cavs, and Pistons in the last 2 weeks. The Celtics are legit, man. The Celtics are legit. Again, I'll just read you the stats. Offensive rating, 4th best in basketball. Defensive rating, 16th in basketball. Net rating, 5th in basketball. Again, 14-9, 5th best net rating. That is absolutely a real team. And I don't even want to put this out into the universe. But if this is what this Boston Celtics team is going to do, and Jason Tatum is sitting around there in fucking March being like, guys, I'm ready. I'm ready to go. Like, let's do this. What are we waiting for? Like, if he could walk onto a Celtics team that is like 4th in the East or 5th in the East or 3rd in the, who the hell knows? Like, that is a frightening thought. So, yeah, I don't really have anything else to say about that other than that's a scary thought, and I don't want to think about it. So I'm just going to stop talking about it. But the Celtics are good. They're very legit. As for your Yabu take, see, this is the Yabu take that I am here for. This is the Yabu take that I like. Might Yabu, seeing the ball go through the basket, get him going a little bit. 5 for 6 from the field, made a 3. Looked okay, I thought, his minutes. It's only 9 minutes, but he looked okay in those 9 minutes. Let's hope. Let's keep our fingers crossed, because again, that's going to be a far, 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 far easier solution than trading for all these other people. Thanks, Bill. Stevens Guillaume. What's going on, Stevens? How you doing, man? A nice wire-to-wire win on this chilly Friday night. Deuce to the 3-point contest. Now we're talking. I'm trying to think, do they invite role players to that? I feel like they invite a role player or two. Let me see. Who is in the 2025 NBA 3-point contest? Let's see who got invited to that. How hard is it going to be for me to navigate this page? So, yeah, I think this was last year, right? 2025, yeah. So it was Brunson, Garland, Hield, Lillard, Norm Powell, Cam Johnson, Tyler Hero, and Cade Cunningham. I forgot that Cade Cunningham got invited to that. Cam Johnson, like, role player, but like a higher profile role player, certainly, I think, than Deuce McBride. Buddy Hield, same thing. Buddy Hield kind of had the reputation as being, one of the best shooters in the league for a while. I would say that is it. I would be surprised, unless he's literally leading the league in 3-point shooting. If he is leading the league in 3-point shooting, I actually think they would have a tough time not inviting him. So I think that's the bar. I think he has to, and it's going to have to be a big number. It's going to have to be like 45, 46, 47%, something crazy. I like that. That's my, in addition to Chris Dayton's date bourbon full belly comment, it's our second nominee for chat of the night. Thank you, Stevens. Good idea by you. Let's start putting that out there. Let's start the campaign. All right. Good stuff. Hush Zoo. What's going on again, Hush? OG's first defensive play where he helped off his man was like the biggest breath of fresh air. So happy he's back. Let's go Knicks. Yeah, because here's the thing. When OG helps, it makes a difference. All this other fakakta nonsense. And again, shout out to Benji Ritholtz, who had a great article for the Knicks Film School on Patreon, in which he detailed with a bunch of clips, very specifically, why this 3-point defense is fraud right now. And why the Knicks are like just kind of being thoughtless in their helping when they don't need to help, over helping, just helping off the wrong players, all those sorts of things. OG changes all that, because OG is, first of all, more calculated, and not only does he make an impact in help, but he is able to recover with the speed and ferocity that the likes of a Jalen Brunson or a Jordan Clarkson, or frankly, even a Deuce McBride, just because Deuce McBride is a little smaller, simply can't. So he's going to make such a big difference, and it is great to have him back. Good chat up by you. We'll have that be our third nominee for chat of the night. All right. What else we got? Robert Cross. How you doing, Robert? First time, long time. It's your boy, John. I would not include Deuce McBride in a package for Giannis. Hashtag 53 wins. Oh, man. Robert's got 4. Robert's really trying to get this chat of the night, the $25 in FanCash. Let's all right. So let's go through all of Robert's stuff, and then I'll go through it all. Thank you, Robert. Next one. First time, long time, is your boy John. For the record, Sunday is a must-win game at the Garden. Hashtag 53 wins. Of course it is. Robert, tell me, when is the last time the Knicks played a game that was not a must-win game for you? That's what I want to know. Next. I need a gong or like a buzzer or something at this point for Robert. I don't know what, some sort of sound effect. First time, long time. It's your boy John. I want to remind the KFS community that you said, right? Nobody else said. Deuce McBride should be playing more 3 to 4 years ago. The best part, he will get better. Hashtag 53 wins. You know what, Robert? Thank the good Lord that Thomas Jamis Thibodeau did not listen to you. And do you know why we should thank the good Lord that Thomas Jamis did not listen to you? It's because if he had listened to you and he would have played Deuce McBride more, Deuce McBride would have never signed the extension that he signed. And he'd be far more expensive. And then we wouldn't have been able to afford him because we're up against the freaking second apron as it is. So, Robert, you think you're so smart. You're not. Got nothing for you. Last one from Robert. First time, long time. It's your boy, John. My message to the Deuce is to small crowd. Shut the STFU. I'm just gonna read the letters. Hashtag happy holidays. Hashtag 53 wins. Robert, you're the best. Truly. As far as the Deuce being included, I wrote, like, without an ounce of irony or sarcasm or anything, the other day in the Giannis newsletter that I did after the report hit, that, like, there's absolutely a world where Deuce McBride, I could see him being, again, if we get down the road and he demands the trade and other teams get scared away and the Knicks actually find themselves maybe possibly having, one of the better offers or maybe the best offer, I could see Deuce McBride being a sticking point because, like, he makes so little money, so he's important for them to. You're gonna have a hard time finding someone who could give you what he gives you at that salary. To say nothing of the shooting, which if you go and you trade for a Giannis Antetokounmpo, especially if you're trading away Cat and maybe you're trading away OG, you're gonna need all the shooting you can get. And hello, Deuce. And then it's just going to be a numbers game as far as, the rotation. Are you going to have enough players to make it through, the playoffs? Now, look, if you make a trade like that, you don't make a trade with a championship or bust mentality. Obviously, the Knicks would do it, with an eye on making the finals this year. But that's a multi-year play. So, which is why ultimately, like, I would look at that situation as like, all right, what is my core after that trade? Do I think my core is capable of, like, and when I say core, I mean like top 4 guys, top 5 guys. Now, Robert, you may say that Deuce McBride is one of their top 5 guys. And you know what? With how he's playing right now, who the hell would anybody be to disagree with you? So it's this is why I say, I say this without any sarcasm. It is a real discussion. Like, if they get to that point, and if they get to the point where they decide they want to enter into those negotiations and they have a chance, that's going to be hopefully Leon Rose's finest hour. But we gotta get there first. I don't think we're there yet, and I'm not sure we're gonna get there. So you probably have nothing to worry about, Robert. Thanks, Robert. Appreciate you, man. Happy Friday. Paul McFarlane. What's going on, Paul? Well, I guess the starting lineup from last year might still work. I know it's the Jazz. Yeah, look, I know how they started off tonight. I know what the actually, I don't know off the top of my head. I will look up right now what the net rating is for excuse me, for this starting 5. It's very good. There is still a part of me that worries a little bit that, like, it's a lot of like a lot of NBA player out there. That sounds very silly, but, like, think about how much money is out on the court with that starting 5. And it should not come down to money, and money shouldn't matter. But it does matter. And when you have try to do some quick math in my head. Like, my God. What is it, like $180 million? Right? Something like that. So that starting five. It's like when you like those dollars come with expectations. And those dollars come with, like, you know, players want to justify their salaries. You know, and I know, Josh Hart is selfless, and I know Mikal Bridges is selfless, and I know, Jalen Brunson is selfless. And I just, there was a part of me that wonders if maybe Deuce is not the better option to slide in there. But I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. The most updated numbers on NBA stats page are that the Towns, Anunoby, Hart, Bridges, Brunson starting five have a positive 24.2 net rating in 40 minutes. So it's pretty good. Thanks, Paul. Appreciate you. Solomon 1931. What's going on, Solomon? Tonight's game brings back memories of the early 90s Knicks when we routinely blew out teams at home and got Derek Anderson sightings. Go KFS. Keep up the great work. Thank you, man. That's really kind of you. My bad. I meant Eric Anderson. So Eric Anderson, I was about to say Derek Anderson. I remember Derek Anderson. I don't think Derek Anderson played with the Knicks. So Eric Anderson, he's before my time. I'm not going to lie. He must have left right before I started watching the team. No, never mind. I'm sorry. He was on the 93-94 team. That's a terrible job by me. So my off the bench guy for those mid-90s, early to mid-90s Knicks was Anthony Bonner. I always loved seeing Anthony Bonner, and Anthony Bonner was like a real player. Eric Anderson played 27 games for the team. He played 83 total minutes in those 27 games. So good shout by you, because he definitely seemed like the white flag guy. Eric, and by the way, he was only on the team for those 2 years, 92, 93, and 93, 94. That was his entire career. The man played 83 minutes in his entire NBA career, scored 12 field goals. How about this? Eric Anderson retired with a perfect 3-point percentage for his career. He took 2 threes in his career. He made both of them. How many guys could say that? Not many. So this has been your trip down memory lane, courtesy of Solomon. Solomon, I gotta nominate you for chat of the night because this was great. I really did not know who Eric Anderson was. I had completely forgotten he existed, and now I know. And knowing is half the battle. Next up, I don't know how many more we got. Armin, of course we got Armin. Only won by 34 after up 41. Unserious. You're all welcome on Deuce. Why? What did you say about Deuce, Armin? You say something nasty about Deuce? Why would you do that? Armin, I just want to say publicly, I hope with a record of 15-7, they're in second place. They have the 4th best net rating in the league, slightly behind the Nuggets, 2nd best offensive basketball. Armin, can you be happy for a little bit? Just for a little bit? Like 5 minutes. Be happy. Thanks, Armin. Kevin Danishevsky, what's going on, Kev? I still believe that this team can win a chip right now. Good. I'm glad. They can. I don't think it's crazy. Tonight isn't evidence because it's the Jazz, and I'm not saying pass up Giannis. Nevertheless, I remain steadfast. My stance hasn't changed, which is why I think if you try to read between the lines of the reporting, and I'm pointing to Ian and Steve Popper doing the putback this week and kind of, reflecting on where they think the team might be with the whole Giannis thing. Like, the notion that they thought this was a team that could win a championship before the season and that they still think this is a team that could win a championship, I don't think that that's crazy. We haven't seen anything, that should dissuade us other than Mitchell Robinson really not looking like Mitch. And maybe they just think, Who the hell knows? Maybe they've told Mitchell Robinson, you know what? Go out there and don't exert yourself on defense until it really matters. I don't know. Who the fuck knows? But other than Mitch not looking like Mitch, nothing has really changed in my estimation. And on the positive end, there are some things that they're doing better than I probably thought they would do. So, I thought before the season they probably had something like an 8% chance to win the title. I still think they have probably something like an 8% chance to win the title because, you do the math, percentage chance that they get out of the East. All right, what is that? 33, 35, 38, 42, 45, I don't know, some number. And then if they get out of the East, what percentage chance do you give them against whoever comes out of the West? 20, 25, 30, 35, I don't know, whatever it is. Put those two percentages together, you get somewhere like 8%. And that was where I was before the year. It's pretty much where I am now. And look, that's better than probably all but, I don't know, 3 teams, 4 teams, maybe. I don't know, 3, 4 teams, something like that. So I don't think it's crazy, Kev. I don't think it's crazy. Thanks. OG team. What's going on, OG team? Deuce feels like an OKC Thunder with those guards. Yeah, he'd play for OKC. Thank God he doesn't. But that, I mean, shit, didn't they, the trade that got us Deuce was with the Thunder, right? Because didn't they get Jeremiah Robinson Earl, or am I making that up? Was that, I know he was involved in the trade. Hold on. Yeah, it was. So we traded the Jeremiah Robinson Earl pick 32 for 34 and 36. So, hey, look, the freaking Thunder, who could do no wrong and have hit every draft pick out of the park, they fucked up. They could have had Deuce McBride, and instead they wanted Jeremiah Robinson Earl. Where's Jeremiah Robinson Earl right now? He's apparently playing in Indiana. Not doing very much. So we got the better of the Thunder, you mother effers. Take that. Thanks, OG team. Armin Dutta, what's going on? Downtown Deuce. Now that was fun, or that was a fun game. Let's put the L in Orlando next. I would love to put the L in Orlando. I mean, man, let me hold on. I want to see something real quick. What was Paolo tonight? Because I've been, again, not being a dick. Very curious what the how things were going to go once Paolo came back. They won tonight by 1 point. Paolo played 20 minutes. He was 3 of 8 from the field. Scored 9 points. They were a +6 in his minutes. I did not watch the game close enough to have any cognizable opinion. So they put Anthony Black on the bench. That was predictable. Well, they had been starting, I think, De Silva. So De Silva went to the bench. He didn't do anything. Black ended up playing 32 minutes, 2 and 9. Yeah, I don't know. Let's see how it works. Maybe it'll work fine. I have my doubts. Thanks, Armin Dutta. Justin Richards, what's going on, Justin? Tried to tell you, John, young teams aren't coming into MSG and getting a win. Now the real competition begins. Let's beat Orlando. Let's beat Toronto and face OKC. It's so funny that this freaking tournament, the Knicks just played the Raptors. The Magic tonight played the Heat. Now the Knicks are going to play the Raptors again. The Magic are going to play the Heat again. And then if the Knicks beat the Raptors in the Cup semifinals, they're going to play either the Magic, who they're playing now, or the Heat, who they've already played 3 times. This is just so wild. Look, it'd be very cool if the Knicks, like I said, made it to the Cup final and played the Thunder. And if you make it that far, whether you win or lose, it's a cool thing. So let's hope it happens. Also just means they keep winning basketball games. Chris Dayton is back with another one. I had a pronoun mistake earlier, maybe due to the bourbon. I was the one with the good bourbon. I figured as much. I gathered as much. And the full belly post date at night, excited about Deuce. Oh, All right. So that's where I missed. Okay. So I thought you had the full belly, you had the bourbon, but it was your wife that was excited about Deuce. So you're so that changes things a little bit. That changes things. No, yeah. You should be excited about if your wife is excited about Deuce more than you, that's acceptable. If you're more excited about Deuce than the lovely evening that you had with your wife, then we have to have some uncomfortable conversations. But it's all good because the Knicks beat the shit out of the Jazz tonight, and all conversations are good conversations tonight. I hope you enjoyed your bourbon, are enjoying your bourbon, and the belly is still full. Like I said, I'm very jealous. So yeah, good stuff. Thanks, Chris. That's it. We're done. All right, we're gonna award our chat of the night. This is tough. I'm deciding between one of Chris Dayton's chats because they made me laugh and he got things mixed up. And it's anytime we can get into any relationship discussions on this show, I enjoy it. But I think we have to give it to Stevens Guillaume. I think Stevens Guillaume gets our chat of the night for being the first person that I have seen suggest that Deuce McBride should be invited to the 3-point contest because that's a great freaking idea. And I think we should get behind that as a fan base. And I don't know, do we need a hashtag? Should we get a hashtag going? Deuce, what is it? The Sprite 3-point contest? Is it the Kia 3-point contest? Kev, do you have any idea? Kev doesn't know. I don't know. Hold on. Let's type in Sprite.
I think it's Starry.
Starry.
The Starry 3-point contest.
So Starry is like the Fakak the Sprite, right? It's the third time I said the word Fakak.
Shout out to my man Jones. Jones.
What?
Nah, he works for Pepsi, and he was like,
is Starry a Pepsi product?
It is. I make fun of him that he came up with the concept for the 3-point contest.
Have you ever had a Starry?
I've tried it. I'm not really with it.
What does it taste like? Does it taste like Sprite?
Tastes like.
Oh no!
I don't know. It's like extra chemically.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
All right. Well, whatever it is, I'm not creative when it comes to this stuff. So somebody out there should think of a hashtag. Stevens, maybe you want to think of a hashtag that we could get going for getting Deuce invited to the 3-point contest, because I guarantee you he'd want to go. He seems like the sort of guy that would be really up for that, and that'd be really cool. Anyway, Stevens, do me a favor. Either shoot me a DM on Twitter or email Knicks Film School at gmail.com, or find some way to get in touch with me so I could tell you how we get you $25 in FANCASH that you could spend at the Fanatics store. You can spend at the Fanatics Sportsbook, whatever you want to do.
We have one more super chat.
We got one more? Okay, let's put it up before we get out of here. OG team. I've been watching the NBA since 2009. Who is the best defensive player you've ever seen with your own two eyes live? For me, it's Draymond. Way to drop this one at 11:17 p.m. The best defensive player that I have ever seen with my two eyes. I've been watching the NBA since 1993. Hold on. I want to give you a real answer here. Kev, you want to chime in on this? You're a little older than we're the same age. Yeah.
Like off top, I'm thinking Mutombo, Gary Payton.
It's not either of them. So some of the names that have come to mind, just since off the dome: Kawhi Leonard,
Kawhi is awesome.
Tim Duncan, Scottie Pippen, Draymond certainly, Dennis Rodman.
Oh, Rodman.
Dwight Howard. Those are those are the names. Those are the first names that came. I mean, you could say Ben Wallace. He's not in that. He's not in that category for me. Hold on. I'm gonna give you an answer here. I'm gonna give you an answer. Hang on. I'm looking at. I'm not even looking at players. I'm looking at teams to think back to like. I feel like no.
Ben Wallace was thorough. Ben Wallace was.
No, he won
thorough.
4 defensive player. He won 4 defensive player of the year awards. That's no joke. That's no joke. That's very legit. I mean, Wemby now is not there yet, but he will be there. I can't say Gobert.
Somebody said KG.
Someone said who?
KG in the chat. They're saying somebody said Iman Shumpert.
So
shout out to Scout.
KG might be the best, other than of this century. So since 2000, KG is probably the best offensive superstar. Like a guy who would have been in the Hall of Fame if he was a mediocre defender. Like among like his defense is probably the best of like that class of player. You know what? I'm the best. I'm gonna go with Duncan. I'm good. I'm gonna go with
fundamentals.
Who?
Big fundamentals. That's what Shaq called him.
I'm gonna go with Duncan. I was actually texting somebody about Duncan earlier today, and I texted them, and this will probably shock nobody. But I said if I had the choice to root for any superstar of my lifetime, other than maybe Michael Jordan, I would have chosen to root for Tim Duncan. Because it's no bullshit, no ego, completely selfless, doesn't cares not for, he could score 0 points, he'd be fine with it. And the biggest reason is because if that dude's out on the floor for a period of 15 years, you know you're going to have one of the best defenses in the league. And he was just that good, and it was just nuts when he was. So I'm going to go with Duncan, even though he was certainly less flashy than all these other guys. He's the most fundamentally sound defensive player probably in the history of basketball. I mean, I never watched Bill Russell or anything, but so I'm gonna go with Duncan. That's my answer.
It's a good answer. I mean, to me, I would break it down by era. So, Bill.
But that's the thing. Hold on.
Bill says Hakeem.
All right. You know what, Bill? The award is named after him. The award is named after him. The award could have been named after Duncan because they only started naming the awards after Duncan retired. So the award could have very well been named after Tim Duncan. They named it after Hakeem. That's a bad job by me. I not that I forgot about Hakeem. I know Hakeem Olajuwon. I watched Hakeem Olajuwon block 87 shots in 7 games against my basketball team in 1994. Remember that? So
Dikembe's not up there. Y'all are wilding. I think
you know what?
Dikembe's
Here's the thing.
Way up there too.
Here's the thing, and you know what? Actually, hold on. I did not think of Hakeem because I thought of players who I watched their whole career, and I started watching basketball in the 93-94 season, which was more than halfway through Hakeem Olajuwon's career. So that's why he didn't come to mind. And I also, frankly, I was 11 during the 94 finals, so I don't the recollection is not quite there. Here's why Hakeem has the argument over Tim Duncan. The Lakers split during their three-peat, 2000, 2001, 2002. They played the and you made me think of this by bringing up Dikembe. They played the Spurs 2 of those years. Double check for me, Kev. They played I think 2 out of those 3 championships. They had to get past the Spurs.
They had to.
What?
They had to have.
It was at least 2. I just forget if it was 2 or 3. I know it was at least 2. And look, obviously David Robinson was there, so it wasn't all Tim Duncan, but Tim Duncan was on those teams. Tim Duncan couldn't do anything with Shaq. And guess what? That's because nobody in the history of basketball could have done anything with Shaq on those teams. Because Shaq was playing at a level the likes of which, I've made this comparison before. We've seen Tiger Woods reach that level, and we've seen Tom Brady reach that level. We've never seen anybody else reach that level of dominance. So I don't blame Tim Duncan for that. But can I call someone the best defensive player I've ever seen if during that little stretch he had this guy there and he couldn't do anything with him? Hakeem. Now, Shaq was younger in 95. Shaq was younger. But Hakeem did something with Shaq in the 95 finals. And he did something with our boy, my guy, over my right shoulder, Patrick Ewing, in the 94 finals. And those are two of the greatest centers of all time. And they couldn't do anything with Hakeem.
Hakeem also a 3-time block champion.
Oh, the numbers.
2-time depoy, 9-time all defensive.
No, the numbers for Hakeem are utterly insane. So you know what, Bill? I changed my answer. It's Hakeem Olajuwon. That's the right answer. It's the correct
one
answer.
More chat.
Of course you didn't choose Ewing, hater. So here's the problem, Robert, is by the time I started watching the team, Ewing was, I mean, look, he came in as the greatest defensive center prospect since Bill Russell, but the knees, when did the knees go? I mean, they went before I started watching basketball. I don't know exactly when the knees went, but they went, they were gone, you know? Here's look, Ewing will get my undying love and devotion. And if I ever write a book about the sport that I love so much, there will be, chapters dedicated to Patrick Ewing because he was a warrior, because he had no business being the impact player he was for as long as he was and holding up on the defensive end of the floor as well as he did for as long as he did. But I mean, yeah, the last time Ewing got any votes for any kind of defensive award was in the aforementioned 92-93 season when he actually finished 5th in Defensive Player of the Year. It was so, and he was 30. Again, I don't really remember that season. So, yeah. Sorry, Robert.
Yeah, I think we tripped. I think it's probably easily Hakeem now.
I can't say it's easily Hakeem. Tim Duncan.
The longevity. Shout out Coach Malpica in the chat. Hakeem, only player in the top 10 in blocks and steals.
Yeah,
first in blocks, 10th in steals.
But here's why it's not easily. It's not. You can't say it's easily Hakeem over Duncan because from day one that Tim Duncan stepped foot. I'm pretty sure Tim Duncan made an all defense team as a rookie. Hold on, I'm going to look this up. Now Hakeem may have also. I just want to be very clear about that. But Tim Duncan,
all defensive for Tim Duncan.
Hakeem, think about a rookie walking into the league and finishing 5th in Defensive Player of the Year voting, and then hold on, and then 17 years later, as a 38-year-old man, finishing 8 in his second to last season in the league. Excuse me, not 17 years later, 18 years later, 38. Finished 8th in Defensive Player of the Year voting. Second team all defense. That is insane.
That's crazy.
Insane. He was a top 10 defensive player for 2 decades. So here's their answer. Peak, it was Hakeem. Overall, I'll go with my original answer of Duncan. That's it. Final answer. We're done.
This has been a great exercise.
This is the shit that I live for, man.
Yep.
I love this. This is good. Who asked that question?
That was
OG team.
OG
team.
team.
I already gave out the chat of the night, but ask some more shit like that. You'll get one of these Friday night chat of the nights at some point. I promise. Okay. We got to get out of here. Here it was. I thought we were going to be done in 40 minutes, and we're here an hour and a half later. That's why Knicks fans are the best fans in the world, because you can keep me yapping and yammering until all hours of a Friday night when I should be, spending quality time with my wife. Speaking of Chris Dayton's super chats. All right. Thanks for tuning into the Knicks Film School Postgame Show. This was a lot of fun. Fun game. I almost forgot about the game as I was talking about all this. Great win for the Knicks. Sunday, big game. I'll be on post game right afterwards. Tune in. It's an early game, I should say. 12 o'clock tip. So remember that the post game will be, right after the tip off, in the middle of football, the whole thing. And that's it. We're out. We'll talk to you soon. Peace. Love you.
Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777. Massachusetts, call 800-327-5050. New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY. Maryland, visit mdgamblinghelp.org. Not available in all states. Terms apply. See the Fanatics Sportsbook app.